stuff together. And I share Lego blocks. And I share my books. Sharing is caring together.
Hi everybody, my name is Mr. Steve and today's episode of the ABCs of Life is about sharing. But I bet you guessed that already because you heard what Anvi and Arush said, and I thought that was so wonderful. Sharing is caring together. Isn't that great? Well, I wonder though, what is sharing? I asked Alex. Alex, why don't you tell us what sharing is?
Telling the people that you use your toys.
Sometimes sharing can be easy and sometimes it can be hard. It depends on what it is that you'd be sharing, right? For example, I asked Alex and Charlotte to tell me something that they like to share.
Toys. My toy.
Alex and Charlotte both liked to share toys. Do you like sharing toys? Toys can be pretty fun to share because a lot of times it's fun to play with somebody else, isn't it? And it's really great when they share their toys with us. What do you like to share? Anvi and Arush talked about what they like to share in the beginning. Arush liked to share Legos and Anvi liked to share books. And when I heard her say that, my heart warmed. Do you know why? Because I work at a library and libraries have lots and lots of sharing. We have lots of books there to share, but also we have toys that you share. We have beach balls sometimes during programs that you share, or crayons or glue sticks. So many things at the library is for sharing, but books most of all. I thought it would be fun to show you some books that are about sharing, so you could share these books about sharing. The first two I'm going to show you are about somebody sharing something that they love with other people that they love. The first story is called The Starry Giraffe by Andy Bergman. And in this story, the giraffe is trying to get the apples from the top of the tree. And when you're a giraffe and you have a long neck, it's easy to do. However, there's always some friends that the giraffe has that are on the ground and can't reach those apples who would like to have an apple. And the starry giraffe shares a lot of apples with them. So that's one story about sharing. And another story about sharing is called Love Monster and the Last Chocolate by Rachel Bright. In this story, Love Monster loves chocolates and gets a whole box of them and doesn't really want to share because Love Monster wants to keep them all for himself. But of course, Love Monster knows that has lots of friends, and those friends might like chocolate too. So Love Monster makes a pretty surprising decision and then gets surprised by what happens after it. Those are two great books about sharing. I wanted to show you Taylor. And Taylor has two sisters, Hannah and Brooklyn, and she talks about sharing with them.
I want to share these Legos with my sisters. They're playing on the couch right now though, so I'm going to ask them if they want this.
Why is sharing important?
Because, like, if somebody wanted to turn with stuff, then you could give it to them. Hannah, what would you like, the person or this? Okay. Brooklyn, would you like this car? I know you like cars. So that's why I gave them to them, because they really like them.
Okay, I wanted to tell you something pretty neat. So you know how Taylor is the older sister of Hannah and Brooklyn. Well, Hannah learns to share too. And I bet that Hannah learned how to share from watching Taylor share. Let's watch Hannah sharing.
I like to say it makes people happy. Thank you, Hannah.
Isn't that so special? And I bet that Brooklyn is watching Hannah share, and Brooklyn's learning how to share too. I bet there's somebody around you that when you share, they're watching you and they're learning how to share too. So that's another reason why sharing is so important, isn't it? When we are really small and learning how to talk and learning about life, there's one word that we say a lot. And I'm going to show you a book about that right now. That word is mine by Jeff Mack is the name of this story. And have you seen babies or toddlers, or maybe you yourself have done this, where somebody's had a toy or food or something, and then somebody else comes over, usually it's a baby or somebody younger, comes over and grabs it and says, mine. Have you heard that before? Yeah, so that's an instinct that we have, is thinking everything is ours. And that's why we learn how to share. In this story, there's two mice who each think that everything is theirs. So they're saying, mine, mine. But then there's a little surprise at the end of this story too. And speaking of mine, another story that you might like, it's by Anna Kang, and it's called That's Not Mine. Christopher Wayans drew the pictures, and you can see that they are not happy right now because they both think that the chair is theirs. So mine, mine. Sharing, we talked about earlier, is not always easy. I asked Alex and Charlotte to tell me something that they don't like to share. Let's hear what they had to say.
Grogu with Allie. She's my favorite stuffy.
Grogu and Allie were both stuffies. And Alex and Charlotte did not like to share their stuffies, their favorite stuffies, with anybody. That's understandable. Do you have anything that you don't like to share with others? I'm going to show you a story about something that I wouldn't like to share. But it is one of my favorite stories. It's called Should I Share My Ice Cream by Mo Willems. Do you like to share ice cream? I don't. That is something I do not like to share. You know, you would think that as you grow up, that you'd be better about sharing. But grown-ups sometimes don't like to share either. In fact, I'm going to show you something that I did not want to share with my friend Miss Diane at the library. Miss Diane wanted to play with that toy, but I was playing with it first. Watching that back makes me sad. Did you see how sad Miss Diane's face was? Yeah, she looks so sad that I didn't share that toy with her. But then I thought about some library books that I had read before. Like this one here. It's called Frankie by Mary Sullivan. And it's about a new dog that comes from the shelter into a new home and has all these toys it wants to play with. But there's another dog there who's been living there and does not want to share his toys. And it makes Frankie very sad, just like I thought about how Miss Diane was sad. And one more story that I want to tell you about is Rulers of the Playground by Joseph Kufler. This story here is about two kids, 1 and 2, who want to rule the playground. They want to make all the rules and decide who gets to play with what. And that's kind of what I was doing. You see, that toy that I had was a library toy. It's for everybody to play with. And we have them at the library for people to share. So I thought about that. And I also thought about what Charlotte said about how good it feels to share.
Feel good? Yeah. And do you like when people share with you?
And then they go back to their homes.
And I decided I would share with Miss Diane. It made me happy to see her happy. And you know, that's what I want us to get from this episode of the ABCs of Life about sharing. It's how important sharing is. In fact, this is what I want you to know.
Sharing is caring together. Thank you, Hannah.
Well, that's the end of our episode. Thank you to Anvi and Arush and to Alex and Charlotte and to Taylor and Hannah in Brooklyn for helping us out. We hope you had fun, and we'll see you next time for another episode of the ABCs of Life. Bye.